Welcome to the Other Side Pod. I'm Nadine. We're not experts. We're just humans having a human experience we think you can learn from, or relate to, or laugh at, or cry over. So hit download, dive in, and hear how folks found themselves on the other side. All right, we're recording with the loveliest human. Okay, when I first met you, you were doing a reno, I think. There was some kind of thing that happened. Were you doing a reno of a bathroom, or was there a water leak or something big?
I don't know. There's just so many things that happened in the last year.
You're like, what water leak? Which reno? Yeah,
Which one?
the fact that we're even sitting together, you're amazing. Thank you. After we met, because we were introduced by a mutual friend, Glenn, and
Yes.
after we met and I realized all of the things that you do, I was even more appreciative for you taking the time. You are just the loveliest human.
Oh,
You really are. Okay, tell the listeners who you are.
yeah. So I'm Karla Briones and I am many things. I wear many hats. I'm an immigrant entrepreneur. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I own a few businesses and I own an organization. So as I mentioned, lots of different hats and just a lover of life.
That comes across the minute you meet you. Glenn set us up because I was having breakfast with him and I was telling him about wanting to podcast and telling him about the book I wrote and coaching. And he was like, you need to meet Karla. You live similar lives. But then I met you and I'm like, what really struck me about you beyond your kindness and your generosity with your time? Because you also consult and you coach and you really do help anybody I think that comes into contact with you. And I was telling you my idea about the other side, coaching and podcasts, and you asked me some really great questions. And then almost, even though you were a stranger until the first second we met, it didn't feel like you were, by all means, by the definition, we didn't know each other. And you gave me such confidence in that hour. You were like,
Aw.
just do it, just go. And you actually said, what happens if you get so busy that you have to have a wait list for your clients for coaching? And it made me sit with it and really think, oh, is this really want to do? You just have this way of asking questions to make someone really sit with their decisions and their plans. And when I realized, I intuitively just said, or instinctively was like, that would be amazing. And you were like, okay, just go do it. Don't overthink it. And that's why I bought this microphone, because you said don't overthink it and do it.
I think it's do it.
And then we got to chatting, because we've chatted a couple of times since. And one time I was having a particularly hard moment and I'm like, Karla, what have I done? Launched a new business after 40. And then you again made me feel so validated. And then you were like, yeah, I see it. I get it. And then I thought, let's share what it's like actually because we both launched businesses when we were younger. And now we've both launched new businesses on the other side of 40. And it's different.
Yeah, it's so different. And also, I guess as a woman or as women, especially if you spend your 20s, 30s raising small children and business and all of these things, you kind of lose yourself there for a bit because you don't know. It's like there's just again, many hats that you're wearing. And then after 40, in my case, my kids are older. I have more freedom. And it's okay. What do I really want? What do I really want that is not tied to ego? That is not tied to my kids? That is not tied to what I thought I wanted in my 20s or in my 30s? What do I really want to do? And I don't know, the business decisions, or at least in my case, that I made in my 40s were way more aligned and in tune with who I really am and what I really want to do for this next half of my life. So yeah, starting a business in the 40s, it might not seem like a smart idea to the general public, but I guess it comes from a place of authenticity and just ego aside or kids aside or whatever aside, you're really following your true passion and what you really want to do for the rest of your life.
Couldn't say it better. Okay, take me back, or take everybody back to right before you opened your first business. It was Global Pet Foods, right?
Yeah.
First one.
Yes.
How did that come about? And how old were you?
Oh my gosh. So I was 20, oh gosh, 25, 26. And I had just like I finished university and then I was in my very fast tracking public relations marketing career in Toronto. I just got married on my partner in life and in business and in everything. And then we got a dog. And the reason why I got a dog is because my dad's a veterinarian and I grew with animals my entire life. And we had just like I was at the on the verge of getting promoted and whatnot, and I really wanted this dog. And when my dad, when we immigrated, because I'm an immigrant, so when we immigrated from Mexico, my dad's first job, actually second job, was selling insurance. My dad's a veterinarian doctor, but he needed to put food on the table while he was recertifying, and he sold me his first insurance policy. I was like easy prey for him.
What kind of insurance? Like life insurance?
Yeah, a life insurance. So anyway,
Cute.
so there's a reason to this story. So fast track in my 20s, just out of university, I really wanted a dog. It was my first time living on my own with my husband and my first time living without an animal. So I'm like, I really want a dog. And I want this particular dog, a giant schnauzer, beautiful breed. I love it,
Oh,
but
yeah.
very expensive. And I didn't have the funds to buy the dog. So I'm like, what do I have? What can I sell? I'm like, wait a minute, I have a life insurance. And everybody was like, no, and I'm like, I'm gonna cash my life insurance. And I was like in the early 20s, and I'm gonna get this dog. There's this beautiful puppy that I want. And everybody was against it. My dad was like, what are you doing? The insurance people were like, oh my God, please don't have I had so many people from the insurance company saying, do not, you were never gonna get an insurance policy like this. And I'm like, it's okay, I want my puppy. So I cashed the insurance, I bought my puppy, and then that dog is the dog of my life that changed the course of my life completely because he was in essence our first child and my first dog is an adult and I really bought into the whole dog ownership, waking up at 5 in the morning to take him to the dog park and then to doggy daycare and hiring a dog walker. And I'm like, wait a minute, I love this industry. I love dog people are great people. Like there's
Yeah.
very few times you will meet a nasty person that is a dog owner or a lover. So I'm like, I want to be surrounded by this. And then one day I started saying, okay, I was in public relations. So I was like, oh my God, I can go after businesses that I really want to go work with. So I started researching stores and pet industry potential clients for public relations. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I want to open up a pet store. Um,
Right.
and then, almost like that's his history. I just remember calling my parents and as immigrants, we went through a pretty tough time initially. Initially, my recertified and opened his own practice with my mom. And I remember just calling my parents one day in my air conditioned PR office in the middle of the summer. Everybody's wearing sundresses. I'm wearing a sweater because I'm freezing in the office. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom, Dad, all I want to do is open up a pet store. And I was like waiting for the clawback. And they're like, so what don't you? And to me, that was like, oh shit, really? It's not that I was looking for their permission, but I just did not want to disappoint them as a child of immigrants, as an immigrant myself. We go through a lot that I'm like, I just want that bit of confidence. And then that was it. Like after that, like things evolved and ended up opening a pet food store here in Ottawa and then another
So
one.
you moved from Toronto to, like, you left your job, sold your house, and moved here specifically to
Yeah.
open the pet store. Why not stay in Toronto and open it?
Because so at the same time I had gotten pregnant with our first child, so the idea of returning to Ottawa was always there just because raising a kid in Toronto was very expensive. So then we were thinking about going back to Toronto to Ottawa, so we might as well do it now when I'm on my mat leave, use that mat leave to your home, move back to Ottawa with your firstborn, move back to your parents' basement and open up a business. How hard could that be?
You were destined to be an entrepreneur. Like, only someone with our brain would be like, of course, a mat leave is the perfect time to do all this.
Right? Like I have all the time in the world.
You have two kids, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So when your first pet store opened, you had one. So you went
Yes.
through, I didn't have this experience. I opened my first business at 30, I think 35. I think 35, 36, and I didn't have any kids. So it was a very different experience.
Mm.
You were in your mid 20s. You're like, I'm going to do this. Your lovely, sweet parents, what good humans, were like, why not do it? Oh, that's amazing. And then you were like, why not do it and move and have a kid? What was it like to be an entrepreneur raising kids?
It was so tough when it was really tough, right? Thank goodness I had my parents' support, and my mom was a godsend because she would help out with babysitting when we needed and like food, anything. Like Mexican moms are the best, by the way. At least my mom. And it was tough. So the moment we switched the open sign on, it was the first day that my son went to daycare. So at least we were able to like coordinate that. But it was crazy though. Like I remember, so I'm the one who quit everything and then did the business full time. My husband is a teacher, so he was teaching, a high school teacher, so he was teaching during the day. So yeah, and it was like switching hats all the time. Sometimes you have both hats on and you forget to take one off and put the other one on, and it's just a mumble jumble of insanity. It really is. And I
Yeah.
remember we used to have a grooming salon in the pet store in the back, and many times my son had bath time in the doggy bathtub.
Oh my God, yes.
Many times my son had to sleep in doggy bed because the playpen wouldn't fit in our office. So doggy beds that we had, okay, let's stick the kid there because he needs a nap.
Oh,
I
they're
didn't.
cozy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I've lied on them.
Inventory counts, like every year we need to do like a big store inventory count. Like it would be having him in my carrier or helping. Eventually he learned to walk in the store, he learned the family business, but it was also a lot of late nights, a lot of missed meetings, a lot of guilt because I had to be working at the stores, and then yeah, I couldn't take my kids to play dates. And so I think as a mom and as a woman and as an entrepreneur, there's like just this constant guilt that riddles you, for at least in for myself, right? I feel like I was half-assing both things. Also, as an entrepreneur, it's as the entrepreneur of a new business, it's like your business is your baby. And then as the mom of a new kid, it is your baby too. And you think that nobody's going to be able to do it better than you can, right?
With
Mothering
either, eh?
with either. So it came a point where I was trying to do everything on my own and not trying to bother other people and not ask for help because I can do it. Like I'm young and I'm
Yeah.
strong. And yeah, and then that came to a big explosion of breaking down and realizing that no, I can't do it all. I need help.
And I think you need to have that experience where you're like, I'm going to try to do it all. And unfortunately, hit a wall. And then that's how you learn to kind of let people in and let them help you. And someone once said to me, with my business, because I was feeling, I think it was the first couple of years, it consumed me, but I loved it. So I let it
Mhm.
consume me and I was having a lot of fun. And I didn't have kids, as I said, but I have really strong relationships with my family, and like some of my best friends, they're still in Newfoundland and I'm in Ottawa. And I felt like I let a lot of those relationships
Oh, yeah.
kind of the back burner. So I had a lot of guilt about that, about not seeing my family. Or my parents would come to visit and they'd stay in the house for a week. And I remember one time calling my brother, and when they left, my parents had left, my brother's in Calgary. And I said, I feel like they get the worst of me and I can't help it. I can't hold it in because I am short on energy and I am short on
Yeah.
patience. And those are my safest people alongside my husband. They get the worst of me. And I feel so bad because they're only here for the snapshot of time. And I know they're not here forever. And anyway, all that to say, you have to hit a wall, and that wall shows up in many different ways. But one person said to me something that stuck in my head, and now I share it with all the people that I talk to who I coach or have small businesses or manage people. If someone can do the job 70% as well as you can, that's when you hand it over.
Yeah.
That blew my mind, the top of my mind off, because I always wanted them to do it 110% as well as I could. I wanted people better than me to take over. And it was like, no, because there's jobs that only you can do. You do those ones. You'll do that 110%. 70%, it's not going to break the business. And also, you're going to learn that it's okay that things aren't perfect.
Yeah.
What a flippin' gift. So,
Yes.
what
I
was
wish I would have
your,
I wish I would have heard that sooner.
yeah, what was your breaking point? What made you realize I can't
uh
do it
it,
all?
there was a point where I physically couldn't do it. I physically could not get out of bed. I physically was exhausted. I was not a good mom. Like I very short tempered. I work. It was like I wasn't me, right? Like I realized that I wait a minute, this is not the person that I am. And also when we opened the business, it was like it's for our family, right? It's for our future. It's for so that our legacy or for as a family to be able to live a good life. But then it made me realize am I living a good time? Am I putting my family right now in jeopardy because I'm like that focus shifted and it became about ego and it became about being successful and about profits and about this and that, but it diverted from our main initial goal, which was this is for our family, right?
Oh.
And then I started missing kids parent teacher interviews. I started missing big chunks of my kids earlier lives because I was too busy in the business, because I chose to be too busy in the business. So yeah, so there was a point where I could physically not do it. And that's when my daughter was born. And she was probably around 1.5. She was a very tough, kids have a way of testing you. She was a very tough toddler, like a really the terrible too. She was like that kid in the airport,
Yeah.
the one like noodling and like doing like the meltdown and all of that. When my daughter was about 2 and I was going through like the meltdowns that she was going through, there was just a point that I just could not do it. And it was one day that I stopped. Like I could not go to work. And I told my staff, my senior staff at both locations, because I had by then 2 stores open. And the staff, you guys do it. You guys got it. You've seen me do it. You've done it for me a few times. I just need a couple of weeks. I'll be back. And it's not that I never came back, but I never came back and at that level because then I started seeing, wait a minute, they're like the stores are still going, then this got falling, and it was just like what a shitty time to go through, but also what a gift because it really physically I could just not do it, and it forced me to say, here you go, like you guys are in charge for a couple of weeks, and then a few years later they're still in charge.
And like the to see for yourself with your own eyes that it was still going. People were
Yeah.
still coming. They were still satisfied. They were still getting great service. They were still getting great product. And it's so hard when it's your business baby. It's so hard not to be the face that's making sure all of those, every person that walks in the door is getting the exact level of care that you want. But when you hire people and they watch you in your element for as long as they do, and then you hand that over, that's also a gift to them. Like it's,
Hmm.
they get to have that experience. The reason I want to be an entrepreneur is because I worked for a woman who I watched grow this brand in Newfoundland, and I was fascinated and enamored with her. And not that she like gave me the keys to her store. I never managed them or anything, but I'd work by myself. I'd open up, I'd close, and she never came to check on me. Like she'd poke into the store every now and then. And my particular store had a manager who happened to be my sister. Hilarious. That's coming up on the Christmas Eve podcast. Stories about that. But it gave me that like, almost a taste of what it would be. And I was 16, 17, 18, and I never looked back. I never wanted to do anything else. So doing that for other people, or maybe equally, they might be like, this is so much work. I don't want to do this. Either way.
Yeah.
But then for you to see that things are going to be okay and you can put your focus elsewhere is so lovely.
It
But I'm
was. I
sorry
mean,
you
at the
had to.
moment, it wasn't.
No, because you're like, I can't physically get out of bed. That's
Yeah.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
you
I
have,
was not a good mom. Like I was just like a sack of potatoes. But then I had a toddler who was very challenging and like a school age kid who I was missing meetings because I just could not do it. Yeah. So it was a tough time, but that's when I discovered yoga. That's when I was like, I've heard of the yoga.
tell me more. Yeah, you started to practice yoga at that time?
Yeah, like literally, Nadine, like yoga saved me. I mean,
Oh,
there is no other way for me to put it, but that mat. It was also hot yoga, and it was in the middle of January, February, when it was so cold. And I'm from Mexico, so anything warm is amazing. So yeah, so I stumbled into this little yoga studio near my house with a Groupon. I remember like insomnia because I sometimes when I'm very stressed, I can't sleep. So then I was like on Groupon and I'm like, the yoga, what is this yoga here? And I used to be a ballet dancer for in Mexico, like almost went professional. So I miss the movement. I miss like being in tune with my body and my muscles and stretching and all of that. And I'm like, hey, I heard yoga is like similar, but not really. Literally stumbled. Like I stumbled inside that studio, not really knowing, what to do. But then the moment I started moving my body in that hot room, it was like, oh, this feels like home. And it at the beginning it became a practice for me to just kind of move my body, but then you know what yoga sometimes it does. It's beyond that,
It wakes you up.
it wakes you up, and
Yeah.
it's something completely, it turns into something completely different than what you thought you were coming in for. So yeah, so then it really, basically what ended up happening is that my body, my mind, and everything, my spirit needed attention, and I started leaning into that.
So around that time, while you were doing all of those things and pulling back from the business and seeing the business was still okay and pulling yourself back into your role as a mom and showing up in the way that you wanted to and going to yoga, is that because what is that when you switched from or when you started to gain awareness of your ego leading the business, whereas you,
No,
okay, tell me that.
I wish,
Oh,
no. So basically, my body and my mind and my spirit started healing, and then it's almost as if I was in a trance during that moment, that transition. It was a good 2 years. Like
okay.
it was a long time. Like my body needed that much time, but it was almost as if I was kind of just going through the motions, and my days became. It sounds terrible, but my days were scheduled around my practice, right? And my kids' school, and that became my practice, became my anchor, which is really weird to say now. But I felt like my mind was, it went on to freeze. And it was 2 years that it took my brain to, okay, settle. And then it woke up. One day, it literally, my brain woke up, and it was like, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? I'm wasting my life.
Uh,
I can't like just, I can't just be a mom in a yoga. That's not who I am. So then my ADHD started to kick in, and then my ego kicked back in, and I was like, okay, I need to do something else. The stores are good. Staff has it, like they have it. I need to do something. And then because I was so in tune with yoga and health and wellness, I'm like, at the time, there was nothing like vegan, vegetarian restaurants. And I'm like, how hard can it be to open a restaurant?
wait, pause. You,
Yeah.
oh my God, I love you. And I feel such compassion for you in that moment. You had two kids, two businesses, a partner, supportive parents, but you were taking 2 years to get yourself back together, falling into yoga, really trying to calm your nervous system. And then when you did, you switched back and were like, I'm going to dive into a new business.
Yep.
Okay,
Just
tell.
that's what you do.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I see you. I see you in me. I see me in you. Yeah, I get it. But it's good to tell people because this is what happens, and this is
Yeah.
how we end up. Yeah. Okay. So tell that story. And what
Messing
year
up.
was
Yeah.
it? And messing up. If you don't mess up, you're not really
Never
trying,
know.
are you?
So my daughter must have been like, I was 36, 35, 36. 35. Yeah, I was 35 when my brain just went, and it's okay. The stores are on their own. They're like awesome. The staff is great. I need to do something. And the thing is that I started noticing when my brain started waking up, I started doing a lot of stupid things, like a lot of
Mm.
daring things, like speeding, and it's the ADHD brain, right?
Uh,
Getting needing that fix, needing the fix of the adrenaline, of the rush, of the kick, of the give me something. My
okay.
Because my brain woke up, right, from that needing to regulate, and then all of a sudden it regulated, and the brain is okay. Now I need stimulation,
Back on.
different. The different type of stimulation, give me something. And then I'm like, oh my God, like I'm doing really stupid things and I'm putting my life at risk. I remember
Ah,
going to the doctor and like telling my doctor to send me to a psychologist, psychiatrist, did a test, and they're like, super ADHD. And so you do need medication. So I'm like, all right, give it to me because I'm going to kill myself.
oh yeah, it was
So
that bad, eh? Your
it was
mind just
that
couldn't
bad.
slow.
Yeah, like it just could not slow. And then that's when like insomnia started kicking in, just because my brain needed something. It needed that stimulation. And then that's when I was again looking online, and I'm like, oh, look at this Freshie brand. I'm like, oh, there's nothing around here. I'm like, okay, how hard can it be? That was ego talking.
Right.
And so we did. And it was the worst decision of my life,
Hmm.
but the best learning of my life. And that's when it really like took me, that experience. It was definitely the worst decision of my life ever. Again, when I opened the store, so the reason was my dog. Like I wanted to take my dog to work, and I wanted to be in that industry. And the reason was very rooted in for the love of a dog, for the love of my family, trying to build something for our family. The restaurant was how hard could it be?
Oh, wait, what a difference of drive, of yeah, of purpose. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And it was hard. It was that if people that are in the food and beverage industry can attest to this, but a restaurant it's a perpetually hungry baby. Like it never stops. And if you're not meant for that industry, if you're not, you have to have a particular love for that industry. And if that love, that passion, that, it's not there, it can become a nightmare very quickly. And I knew 2 weeks in when I opened that
Oh
restaurant that I
God.
had made the biggest mistake of my life. But I had already invested a lot of money and the store was open and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so it was really tough.
How long did you have it for?
So by 6 years, I had it 6 years. So we were
Oh,
finally making a profit. Like we were all like close to $1 million in sales a year. Although a restaurant industry, our margins are teeny and our profits are teeny. And then COVID hit.
oh my God.
COVID hit and 90% of my business vanished overnight. Like literally overnight, 90%, boom, gone. Because my strategy was to grow the business through catering, contracts with hospitals, contracts with schools, and it was rolling. And then obviously COVID hits and hospitals they're shutting down like any type of catering, any type of anything from the outside world, schools the same. So yeah, so overnight, 90%, boom, gone.
I'm so sorry you went through that.
I mean, me too.
Yeah. How long did you stay open during COVID?
So we stayed open. We stayed open and we closed it in 2022. That's a decision that I had to make. And honestly, the decision was because my general manager gave me her resignation, which was not, I was expecting it just because it was also very stressful for her. Having to navigate that as COVID. She did an incredible job
Mm.
during COVID, but it destroyed her too, just because it was such a stressful life, such a stressful time for food and beverage, particularly that service industry. And I was like, okay, so she gave me her resignation. I'm gonna have to fill in for her full time back again. Am I willing to do I love this industry enough for me to go back to the grind and do it all over again? And my answer was no. Also, during the those 2 years, I had two pre-strokes. So I was in life, I know, I was at 40, 41.
Oh,
Had a headache in the back, like a back neck ache. And I'm like, okay, this not going away with Tylenol. Call my doctor, and the doctor's get in here right away. When there, my pressure was like 230. It was in the 200s, like high 200s. And my doctor's, okay, you are about to have a stroke. You're pre-stroke right now, so take this medication. If it doesn't work, we're gonna ambulance you to the Heart Institute. And my brother works at the Heart Institute, right? So I'm like, okay, this is it's just a headache, and just yeah, it's how it represents in women.
oh my
So
God,
I had
Karla, I have
it
cold
twice.
shivers
Yeah,
twice.
twice. So I'm like, is this worth it? Absolutely not. No
Yeah.
money in the world, no ego in the world, nothing is worth this. So that's when I talked to my husband and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I know we're about to lose a crap ton of money, but at the end of the day, I rather lose money. We can figure it out, but my life. Yeah, so we ended up closing that business and it was really tough. Everybody teaches you how to open a business, nobody teaches you how to close a business.
What would
So,
you say? What is one piece of advice that you would give somebody who's really close to closing their business and know, and probably their gut is, I need to do this for whatever reason, health, your own, financial,
yeah.
and they're having a hard time just like doing the thing? Is there anything you could say?
Oh, that's a great question. I think what pushed me to make that decision was having a very teeny tiny but very strong support system that whenever I would like falter, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna do this, that they would be like, Karla, you're doing it because look at you. So they would bring me back into, they would shine a mirror like, Karla, look at you. And then it was two people, my
Mm.
husband and then a very good friend of mine, love her to bits, Brie. And they were the ones that were like, nope, look at you. You can do this. You opened it, you can close it. So for me, it was really finding that support system, even if it's one person, and try not to do it just on your own because it's very shame inducing, particularly when you're type A personality, you're go, like lots of goals and very driven. Having to come to the realization that you need to close it for X, Y, or Z reason. Um, as an entrepreneur, it's very shaming because
Yeah.
it's all about the sexiness of opening a business, of growing, scaling. But again, nobody talks about the messiness of closing a business or having to figure out how to transition that business. And there is no real help or support. So trying to find that help and support, at least with some close people to you, is, to me, it was like what kept me going.
Yeah, I had a
But yeah.
similar experience with my movement studio when I realized someone held a mirror up to me, a dear friend actually at Happy Go Coffee close to my house,
Uh,
and she said, I keep checking in on you and you keep saying you're okay, but do you see yourself? She was like, there's no way you can be okay with everything that's happened to you in these last couple
yeah.
of years. And I walked away from that coffee date with Anna. Thank you, Anna, in a real daze. And I was like, Anna's seen something that I won't let myself see what's happening. And
Yeah.
it still took me a number of months to wake up.
Yeah.
And then when I sat down with David, actually, we were walking the dog, and I said, I'm burnt out. I think I've got to let this business go. And he said, thank God you can see it.
Oh,
And that's when I realized, and he was letting me come to the conclusion myself, because if he told me, I would have fought him, because same thing, right? It's like, but I built this thing and I had just bought it from a business partner that I
mhm.
had. And so I was like, okay, this is my thing. I get to do what I want to do with this, and I get to make this what I really think it can be. And I kept telling my team, I'm going to right the ship, because I'd been through a really chaotic time. And I said, I'm going to right this ship. And then it took me some sleepless nights to realize, and months to realize, that the ship could right. But I felt like I was in a life preserver in the back, just like hanging on a rope and just like taking on water. I'm like, oh, I'm
Oh my
drowning. The
gosh.
ship's the
Yeah.
ship will be fine. And same, I didn't know who to talk to about it, but I called my mom and I said, the community's beautiful and I'll try to keep it going with somebody else. Like, I'll try to find someone to buy it, but I'll close it if I can't. And I'm giving it 3 months because I've got to get myself out of this. And my mom said, do you feel like a failure? And I'm like, no, actually. And it was an instinctual. I was like, no, actually, I don't. I'm like so proud of myself for taking care of myself first now, because I spent 40 plus
Amazing.
years taking care of everyone else and anything else but me. And I'm like, oh, actually, I love myself more than this business. And that took me 40 plus years to get to. And then the next day, we were talking again, me and my mom, and she said, I just want to make sure you don't feel like a failure. And I was like, Mom, I don't feel like a failure. And I kid you not, day 3, she called me and she said, now listen, I talked to your brother and I told him what's happening. I told him the decision you're making. And I said to him, she doesn't feel like a failure. And I said, Mom, I think you're having a hard time with this. I'm okay. She said, yeah, your brother said it's not a failure, Mom. It's success. She can identify that she needs to stop running this business and get herself out of it. I'm like, oh my God. I just think she was so mama bear that she just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to go down that shame spiral, because it's so
Oh,
easy. And I already wasn't doing well. I was very burnt out mentally. I was at my worst mental health, and physically as well. And I think she was so worried that was a hole I would easily fall into. Anyway,
yeah.
so for anybody, yeah, for anybody that's there or somewhere close for whatever reason, find those people. And for me, same, it was like a couple of people, yeah, maybe like 4, but they're the ones who will hold that mirror up to you so you can see yourself and see how poorly you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
was embarrassed of how I was showing up as a leader. I don't know how you felt about how you showing up for your team, but I was like, this isn't the
Oh, I was
person.
not. No, I was not showing up. It's just COVID was such a shit show. Like,
Oh yeah.
it was such a stressful time. And then we also had the other two business. There's a picture. So we had the two businesses. We had both of our kids homeschooling, like the online, doing the online schooling. And then
Ugh.
I have this business. So there's a picture of me that I took just because I was laughing out of, I don't know. There's when you think things are just so stupidly weird, and then you just start laughing because there's just no other
Yeah.
response.
Yeah.
And I remember both of my kids, they're like struggling with like the Zoom and like their homework, and both of them have their headphones. They're at the breakfast bar in our kitchen, and both of them are like having a hard time understanding their teachers. And then I'm trying to clean the house, and there's like dishes, like yay, like like mountain of dirty dishes. My hair is like in the messiest bun. I don't know when was the last time I showered, and I'm just like looking at the stupidness of the situation and trying to figure out like both locations and the Freshie. And then I'm like, I need to take a picture of the insanity of what's happening right now. And I still have that picture, and it's, you can see it, like you can see everybody's frustration, this palpable, that frustration. So yeah, COVID was, whew, as a mom, as an entrepreneur of three businesses, is to keep it together. It was just, it was, I did not.
Okay, so you're there and you see it, you take the snapshot. Walk me through that Karla to the Karla that realizes I'm running a business for ego and not for the purpose that I first opened my very first business for, which was very much this rooted family feeling. Like, I know your dad, he was a veterinarian, and he had his own practice in Mexico. Immigrated his whole family to Ottawa. Is that where you first
Yeah.
landed together?
Yeah.
Okay. And had to go through many years to recertify and take on many jobs for you guys to survive and be able to establish a life here. And then, so I'm sure you have all of that, not pressure, but pressure in a way to make sure that you do the right thing because of all the things that they did to make
Yeah.
sure you're going to be okay. And then you're sitting there realizing somewhere along the way you lost that initial purpose, that initial instinct of why you wanted to do this. How do you get to the other side again? Like, you go from that to ego to getting back there. How?
So it's funny because I started doing work with immigrant entrepreneurs on a very one-on-one basis, trying to help them right around the same time that I opened Freshie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I did it on the side, right? Because that's around the time that my dad sold his practice. And in selling his practice, we realized that he made tons of mistakes in setting it up, that we had to fix those mistakes in the due diligence process in order to be able to sell it to the buyer. And that process was very costly and almost put his retirement in jeopardy. And then that's when, holy crap, we were newcomers and I didn't realize this and blah, 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 don't worry, so we'll try to fix it. And then
Oh,
that's when I was like, I wonder how many other immigrants went through similar things or lose their life savings or I don't know, X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, I want to start helping immigrant entrepreneurs or immigrants who want to open or scale or acquire businesses. I want to help them so that they don't make those mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes too. So I want to, all the knowledge that I've acquired, how can I pay it forward? So I
mm,
started doing it on the side. I started coaching on the side. I started an online program on the side while I was also growing Freshie because I had to have something that I was passionate about because Freshie, right?
oh,
So it was like it was always there. It was always in the background, always there. So then when I closed Freshie, obviously after I took some time. It wasn't even that much time. I took maybe 4 months of like licking my wounds and okay, licking my wounds. But then towards the end of Freshie, I knew that what I really wanted to do was this. This is what I want to do when I grow up.
oh.
This is my destiny. And
And
Freshie
what
was
by
on.
this? It's working with immigrant entrepreneurs.
Yes, sorry,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
working with immigrant entrepreneurs, and Freshie was on the way, right? And the COVID got on the way,
Mm.
all of the stuff. And I actually tried to sell Freshie like 2 years in the business.
Oh,
So I was so not into that business, trust me. But I couldn't sell it. I couldn't sell it. I couldn't sell it. I couldn't sell it. And then COVID hits, right? So then when I get that resignation letter from my general manager, it was almost like a blessing in disguise, right? I was like, nope, I'm not gonna go back in full time in this business. I don't want it. Never wanted it. I don't know why I opened it. And I decided to close it. And then I was like, okay, now I have time for this. Now I have space. Now I have the energy and the passion to really focus on this full time. And yeah, so we closed Freshie October 2022, and I incorporated Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada as a national non-for-profit on March 2023.
Wow.
Yeah. And we started, and you know what? It's been a slower growth, obviously, with the non-for-profit sector, but after Freshie, I needed community. Like I needed connection. I needed like authentic connections. So I started in January, so closer in October, and then in January, I'm like, you know what? I need connections. I'm gonna create this this networking event for immigrant women entrepreneurs. And I just like, like just do it. I'm like, okay, just gonna do it. Just put it on Eventbrite, whatever. Who shows up? I don't know. We had a lot of people registered and only 7 women showed up because it was one of those like January winter stormy days in Ottawa.
Right.
But still 7 women showed up, and the conversations that we had were amazing. The connection stories, the finding the journeys of everybody, like their immigration journey and their entrepreneurship journey. It was just a lovely meeting that I'm like, I'm gonna do it again next month. And then in February, like 50 people showed up. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it again next month. And then in March, 80 people show up. And in March is okay, I think I've got something here. So I'm just gonna make it official and let's incorporate it so that this could be one program that we kick off the organization with. And then from there it just started growing. And it's not a women's organization. It started with women because I needed that. Then guys started saying, yo, what about us? So now we have mixers. And yeah, it started growing. Now we have other types like incubators, accelerator programs, and we're growing. Not, it probably seems that we're like this massive organization just because I was in public relations and marketing. But what, like being completely honest and vulnerable? No, like I'm still a volunteer to my own organization. Our budget is teeny tiny. But we're now at the verge of turning that corner of the non-for-profit world and actually getting bigger funding so that we can make a bigger impact. And this is what I want to do when I grow up. This is what I want to keep doing.
Do you think we need to get to the other side of, I don't know that it's 40, but it's the other side of something to actually tap into? This is what I want to do when I grow up. Because I feel the same way about what I've launched this year. I'm like, and one of my sister's really good friends sent her a message who my sister forwarded to me. And it said, she's finally doing what she was always meant to do. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh, because I do feel like it's something that's been percolating for a long time. I just had to hit a particular place in my life to birth it, or to yeah, birth it, I guess, is the best
yeah.
word I can
And
think of.
yeah, and I think it's like experience, right? Like you start something thinking that's who you are and that's who you're meant to be, but then you evolve, right? As you get older, you start evolving and then you realize, wait a minute, I like it, but there's something else. I know there's something else for me. And then you start dabbling into something else. And then you realize, oh, nope, it's not there. And then there's always going to be one pivotal moment in your life, or at least in mine. I'm not going to generalize, right? But there's a pivotal moment where you're like, that shakes you. And you're like, okay, like this feels a little bit more intuitive. This feels more natural. This feels fulfilling. It might not be profitable from the get-go, but this feels like butter, right? That's
Ah,
how it's the butter. It
yep.
just slides. There is no friction. It's just things are happening. So that's where it is. That's the way.
And
But for me, I had to go through all of those like ups and
same.
downs to find my butter.
I think that's why there's something about experience, and it has to just be years on the planet, because you just,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that if you're 30, you can't open a business that's very authentic to you. Like I felt very in line with my business for a long time until I
Yeah.
really didn't. And it still took me a long time to get myself out of it and to land where I am. A long time. And that's okay because I had a lot of fun. My passion and my joy came from other purposes. It's similar to you. It started out as a really sweet, like I was a 16-year-old kid who just wanted to do this thing. And then I did it. And then it became successful. And I started seeing the potential, and I had people in my ear saying, you got to open another, you got to open another. And then there is somewhere your ego does take
Oh yeah.
over and
Oh yeah.
you don't even wake up to it. And I remember when it came to opening the third location, there was like a third that we were supposed to open, and anyway, it didn't happen in that moment the way it was supposed to. But I remember feeling so disconnected from the third location that I was about to
Oh,
sign a
yes.
lease on. And I had a coach that I worked with because I do love working with coaches. This is just not like a shameless plug for you and I, but I find them really helpful. And the coach looked at me and she said, "Where's your passion? This
Mm.
isn't 2020. This isn't 2014 Nadine." Even though she didn't know me back in 2014, I had a different coach. Hilarious. But she was like, "This isn't the person who opened the first location. This isn't the person who opened the second. Where have you gone?" And I thought I could go back and find
Uh,
her. I was like, "Oh, I'll get a little." She was like, "Go get a Chotsky, something to remind you that you'll see, that you'll hold, to remind you of your energy and your fire and your drive." And I think I was so disconnected from it though. I faked it. I was like, okay, I'll go. And I found a Chotsky and it was the cutest, I'm saying that word wrong, Tchotchke. And it was the sweetest little necklace that I think I just would have bought anyway. But all that to say, when your ego takes over, it's not easy for you to see, but it's apparent. And my brand changed and it got further away from who I was and I let it. Because I was like, I
yep.
guess that's cool. So let it be that because I almost felt like I wasn't cool enough for it. So let it be that. And then it got to the
Mm.
point where it was so far in the distance from me. Whereas now, it all just seems so me. I'm like, oh, this is spilling out of my DNA. This is just like coming out of my cells. This is so natural. It feels like butter. That is so lovely, Karla. And it does, okay. And what's scary about it is I'm 47 and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm never going to retire. Like I called you, I think, right before I launched it or right after I launched the other side
Yeah,
coaching and podcast. And I was like,
just
Karla,
before.
do you ever have this like feeling that you're like a cautionary tale to little dreamers? Because I was like, what have I done? I've put my like family at financial risk. Now I'm launching this thing it's not this most financially rewarding thing at the very beginning. It can't be, right? And you were like, I get it. I get it. And you
Yeah.
made me feel so validated because both of us get it and we see it, but yet we still show up every day and we can't help ourselves because it's so fun, rewarding. The connections, it gets me out of bed and I can't wait to put on my headphones and chat with someone like you. And I'm like, tell me everything, you know? What do I say to someone in their 40s that have this pull? Because I talk to a lot of women, especially now through coaching, that are feeling stuck. And I'm like, it's you got to slowly come to it yourself. You can't pull anybody or be
Yeah.
like, just make that move, just incorporate, just buy the URL, just like what's something we could say from this side of it?
For me, and I think I told you this, is it's consistency beats intensity, I think. Just
Oh,
showing up. Just, it doesn't matter. Like some days you're going to show up half of yourself, but at least you're still showing up. Other days you're going to be like, woo, this is amazing. But it's consistency beats intensity. And it's about progress, not trying to be perfect, not trying to have everything perfect. And because it's not perfect or it's not the big thing that you envision in your head, so that is almost paralyzing to start. For me, it's about, okay, how can you take some little nibbles that are not going to destabilize you right now where you're at, but that you can still feel that you're getting some progress in there, that you're consistent progress, like little by little. So it's progress, not perfection. And at the end of the day, you just the only way through is through.
yeah.
So just like taking, and I know it's very easy to say, right? Easy to say, just start, right? But it doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be like that big idea, big thing that you shiny object here, but it's like how can even if it's just, I don't know, like brainstorming on a notebook, that's still progress. That's still showing up and it's gonna get you closer than if you're just hiding in a corner, petrified about taking that first step. And sometimes the first step is just picking up a pen, putting it on your notebook and start brainstorming. And that will get ideas flowing. The other thing is connection, connecting with other crazies like us.
Yeah.
Connecting with like-minded people is there's this, I always say that entrepreneurship is contagious. You talk to any entrepreneur and you just get so fired up by their passion and their ideas that it's contagious, right? Like it's that energy. And it's like sometimes you need to step out of your common social circles and find those like-minded people that are going to inspire, that are going to where you're going to feel that inspiration to, okay, I'm gonna pick up that pen and I'm gonna put pen to paper, and that's progress. So I know it's easy to say, but anything is progress, and it's like going to the gym, right? Waking up and getting to your car is the freaking hardest thing of going to the gym. Once you get into the gym,
Yeah.
you just get the ball rolling. It's just natural, especially if it's something that is driven by passion, something that is driven by purpose. It's just picking up that pen or getting your gym bag going and just getting out of the house. It'll create momentum.
And you're not going to go to the gym when it's dark out and it's 6:30 in the morning and it's -20 if you expect that day to put on 4 pounds of muscle. You know what I mean? If that's your
Yeah,
goal, you're like, I
exactly.
want to get stronger. It's not going to
It's
happen that day.
consistency.
You just have to keep doing that. And then you're going
Yeah.
to see that over time. The other thing I will say about opening a business after 40, if anybody's out there listening, and I don't know if you can relate, Karla, but the probably right before I called you that day in a bit of a downward spiral, I had been crying a lot to David. And I was like, I'm a cautionary tale. What have I done? Blah, blah, blah. All the things. I was like, why didn't I just want to be an accountant or a lawyer or something that
Right?
I like could just apply for? Like, there's no,
Nine
I
to
never,
five.
yeah, I could never open the paper and be like, now hiring an entrepreneur. Like it used to just drive me crazy because I almost wished I wasn't like this. And anyway, so I was having a day and then I was like, it's too late. I've come upon what I really want to do too late. And I really felt that way sincerely. I'm like, why didn't I think of this when I was 36, 26? And David, bless him, because he is not a risky guy. He's risk adverse. I can't believe the universe put us together. I can because we're good for each other. And he said, you wouldn't be good at it until now. You're going to be so good at it.
Yeah.
What a cheerleader. You're excellent at this. You're meant to do this. You just had to have all that experience to really do it. And that was the one thing. There's many things that really helped settle my mind in those couple of days. And that conversation with you really was sincerely, it was one of them. But those words from David was like this warm wave of water washed over me. And I'm like, because it was so true. There's no arguing it. So
Yeah.
sometimes
No,
you
can you
just
imagine
need,
being a coach when we were in our 20s or 30s and making all those mistakes?
it would have been the worst. Yeah, you just had to experience some stuff before you can
Yeah,
sit across from somebody else who's experiencing some stuff.
I
Oh
agree.
my
I agree.
God. And we're both here and we're okay.
And you
And
know what? It's about I always say, especially right now with the not-for-profit. The not-for-profit, oh my goodness, it's like a completely different beast from I can open and close a business, well, open businesses like crazy. But not-for-profits, it's not for the faint of heart. But I've always said, I continue rooted in my mission, in my passion, in the impact that we're creating, and everything stems from that. I know the money is going to come. And it's not that I'm not doing anything and I'm not applying and all that, but I'm just saying if I stay rooted in that, anchored in that, in the passion, in the results that we're able to see our participants of our programs go through, in the success that they're having because of our programs, I know the partnerships are going to come because the proof is in the pudding. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So it took a while because we needed to establish our street credibility as an organization and whatnot. But I was like, it's gonna come. It's gonna come because it's consistency, right? We're constantly putting out progress. We're constantly creating success stories from other immigrant entrepreneurs that they're scaling and exporting and doing all of these things in like the first 12 months of their business. They're handing in their resignation letters because their businesses are able to sustain them, right? So faster than I could have ever imagined. Like a lady just she's on her mat leave and she started her business on the mat leave through one of our programs, and her son is going to be a year and next month, and she just handed in her resignation letter to the mat leave position that she had and said, my business can now sustain me on my own.
oh my
So
God, it's so
it's
amazing.
like in 12 months somebody who came from a different country, had a kid, now is able to, and she is now starting to hire part-time people because she's scaling her business. Like, to me, it's, I know, like, stories like this, thanks to the programs that we're putting out there, I know the partners are gonna come, and they are. So just again, being very rooted in your why.
Yeah.
So long as it's not ego.
Yeah, do you think we'll see ego and when it pops up now that we're on the other side of
Um,
40 in another business?
yes, I do see it when it pops out and I do a little check.
Okay.
Um, I think I'm better at, not perfect, but I'm better at questioning. Wait a minute. Is this decision, why am I
Right.
taking this
Yes.
decision? Like, it's if it's something that's very risky or like very bold and whatnot, I'm like, okay, why am I saying yes to this, or why am I considering this? And it's because of the purpose. Is it because of the impact, or is it because of Karla? Because it's an
Yes.
organization. It's not Karla, right? This is Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada. It's not a Karla organization. It's an it's an organization. So is this about the organization, the purpose and mission, and what we want to achieve, or is this because Karla's going to look good? And I do those checks, and it's very humbling.
Yeah. I do a similar check in that I have a lot of ideas all the time and I'm doing pretty good through therapy and coaching and knowing about myself more at having this. I have this like shelf in my mind that is always there, and I have new ideas and I have to put it on the shelf, and I have to keep it there for a few months. And generally, when I go back a few months later, it's in my head, but I still see all these shiny books, ideas, and I go and I look, and normally the ones that were about my ego or distraction because I'm nervous that this isn't going to be the right move, I'm questioning myself, I'm self-doubting, all those other ideas have fallen off that shelf. And there's
Yeah,
always one or two left that I'm like, okay, that's something that probably I could put in my business, but not right now. Become an
yeah.
expert at the things you're doing that you've just launched. And I also have, like, I call my sister and sometimes I go, can you be my business partner for an hour? And she's like, you got me. And I
Oh,
give her
what a
ideas
blessing.
and yeah, it's so great. And she pops back. She'll ask me really great questions. I can do it with David, but I feel like I'm more defensive with David because that's just
Yeah,
how we are. He
yeah,
lives with me and I'm like, you're just saying, but with my sister, yeah, it's a different back and forth. And then I take what she's told me and I can still feel this like frenetic energy of this new idea. And then generally a day or two later, I write her, I call her and I go, there's something percolating and I know it, but it's not ready yet. And she's like, it's not ready yet. And I go, okay. And I put it back on the shelf. And so I find those exercises help me to
wow,
understand, is it a good idea because it's sincerely like rooted in this brand and in the good feeling that I want to put out there and the connection I want to build and just the support that I want to create for other people and sharing their stories or in helping them through something, whether it's professionally related or personally related through coaching or through my writing. I always want to make sure it's rooted in that sincere purpose of I just want to connect and help people. And
hmm,
those other ideas, they're shiny, sweet, fun distractions because I love an idea, but yeah, it's good to have something like that or a person to help you understand what's the driving force here. Yeah.
yeah. I agree.
If someone could help you at Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada, which I will put the link to in the show notes,
Thank you.
before we sign off, what is the best help you could get right now from anybody out there listening?
Introductions to potential partners.
Oh, like what kind of
Yeah.
partners?
People that are interested in collaborating with us through our programming, we're always looking for accountants, lawyers to help out with either knowledge sharing, mentorship, so on and so forth. And then the other thing, obviously, sponsorships and funding is a big one.
Okay.
And then, yeah, like if people are in the Ottawa area, we're beta testing most of our programs in Ottawa, but we do have national expansion plans for next year. But if there are people are in the Ottawa area, check us out. I know it's called Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada, but our events are inclusive to anybody who wants to attend. They're lovely events. And yeah, come to the events and just like be immersed in the magic of these events and the connections and meaningful connections that can happen from these particular events. Yeah, and spread the word. If you know an immigrant who wants to open a business, send them our way as well, and we'll do our best to support them or send them in the right direction or coach them, so on and so forth.
As someone who's gone to one of your events, I can attest to
Yes, you've been to them.
how
Yeah.
lovely it is and connected. And it's just a room of very good feelings and energy and just this willingness and want to help from
Yes.
everybody, even from the people that are there seeking help. They want to
Hmm.
help.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've
Yes.
created a really beautiful community. Thanks for you. Thank you so much for everything you do. I know how hard you work. I don't know, but I can see it because you also give behind the scenes, which I love about you. Like you will post on Instagram, you're like, I'm tired, but also I just had this event, but also now I have to go lie on my couch for hours. And yeah, I just love you. Thank you, Karla. Thank you for sharing some time with me.
Right back at you. I love you too, and you're doing awesome work. And thank you, because I know that you coach one of our immigrant entrepreneurs, and I had a conversation with her. She loves your style, so you are amazing. So thank you so much for doing that too.
Love her.
I know, she's amazing.
Thanks, Karla.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.